Hi, Misha here, and this is definitely one you have asked us about. This is a current 2019 import, Romanian Cugir. AES-10B Bravo. Semi-auto sporter rifle. And more than a few have asked us, how does it compare with older imports, such as the paratrooper here, which you saw in a relatively recent video of ours when we were talking about these dong foregrips. The paratrooper version is identical to the standard version, except of course it has the folding stock. However, you can very easily put a clubfoot stock on the paratrooper if you wish, so you're not committed to one or the other. Now, anyone who's familiar with the channel knows that both Jay and I own an AES-10B, and that they're kind of favorites of ours. For one, I like the RPK in general, and the AES-10B is the most authentic, original RPK in 7.6239 that has ever been imported. To be exact, it is a semi-automatic version of the PM-64 light machine gun, which is the Romanian designation and license clone or copy of the original Soviet RPK, Kalashnikov handheld machine gun. The original PM-64 was virtually identical to the Soviet, but as time went on, some changes were introduced. One of the biggest is they went away from the original pattern of bipod to this adjustable one. The legs can be slid in and out. Also, the front has this wing nut that allows it to be detached from the barrel. Obviously, some also had the dong foregrip, although it's a relatively uncommon feature. And some would have the Romanian push-button folding stock. Like Russia, Romania would start off making guns with dimpled receivers at the magwell, but in the 70s they would remove the dimples and instead put plates inside. But really it's the same gun. So, new, current AES-10B versus any of the originals. The original AES-10B appeared around 2006, 2007. It had pretty much all the correct RPK features. 23-inch heavy chrome-lined hammer-forged barrel, 1.5mm receiver, bulge front trunnion, windage and elevation adjustable rear sight. The earliest AES-10Bs actually used a different type of bipod, but later could have either the fixed RPK type or the adjustable. Also, they could have smooth or ribbed top covers. Ribbed, as you see on the new one here, actually was an earlier feature, both in Romania and Russia. Later, they would go to the smooth, which is a little bit thicker, heavier, dutier. They would even have the correct machined guide rod in here, both do, as opposed to the AKM wire type. Yeah, everything is pretty much correct. Very much an authentic semi-auto PM-64 RPK. And these have been, they were imported pretty heavily until about 2013, and then they were discontinued for a number of years. And now, as of 2019, they've reemerged with one big difference: price. Earlier on, when the AES-10Bs first came out, they were only 100, 150 more than a Wasser. That was for the fixed stock version. The paratrooper versions, which were all built from matching 1989 kits, were higher. They were about $800, $900, so quite a bit more than a Wasser. And then when importation was kind of dying out, prices went to $600, $700, $800 for the fixed stock, yada yada. Over the years, they've crept up well over $1,000 to $1,200 to $1,500 on Gunbroker for used. So when Century reintroduced the AES-10B, they had a MSRP of $1,500, with retail price more in the $1,350 to $1,400 range. So they are quite a bit more. What do you get for your more money? Well, these are built from new parts, new current production parts. They, like current Wassers, tend to have a little bit better finish to the metal. I've also noted the mag wells on these are cut a little smoother and are a little tighter than some of the older ones, which could be a little bit sloppy sometimes. But really, there's not a lot of difference. I will note a few things, though. For one, the newer AES-10Bs do not seem to be coming with cleaning rods. This one has one because it came from Atlantic, who, while they have them, are including cleaning rods because they happen to have some extra RPK length ones after doing their PM-64 battlefield pickups. They still have threaded barrels, 14mm left-hand standard AK, removable slant brake. The bipod is very similar, but I noticed the wing nuts for adjustment are a little different. See if you can see that a bit. And here is the original, more rounded. Also, the furniture. We have this real light blonde furniture. It's RPK style. But, yeah. What's funny is AK people hate this. But I've talked to a lot of non-AK people who are just buyers that actually love it. Even willing to buy it. And I've told more than a couple, I'm sure you can find owners of these happy to sell. Keep in mind the Arsenal RPK had kind of blondish furniture. So it's one of those things that some people really like. One thing that bugs me is they're using Phillips head screws here, also in the butt plate, and even on the tang. That just jumps out is very wrong to anyone into military guns. This does at least have the trapdoor for the cleaning kit, unlike the current Wasser stocks. U.S. parts are the trigger group, pistol grip. I looked at the gas piston. It seemed to be U.S., but I'm not going to promise it. And as I already pointed out, the dust cover is kind of the older ribbed style versus later production heavier, smooth. These don't actually come with a 40-round mag. They instead ship with one 30-round Magpul mag, and that's it. The older guns would come with two 40-round mags, and sometimes a sling and a mag pouch, and usually the tubular cleaning kit, especially if you got a fixed stock version. These do not. Well, let's compare it with one other gun, and then I'll give some final thoughts. AES-10B. I thought it might be helpful to compare this with this. This is my Soviet RPK, at least a build from one from Legion USA a few years ago. This is actually a very early kit from 1961, built on to a Nodak Spud receiver with a chrome-lined barrel from Green Mountain in the USA. A proper 23-inch length and heavy profile. I thought this would be fun to look at because we see the magwell dimples, which would have been correct for 1961. We also see a ribbed top cover. And early on, these would have had wood pistol grips. You see original Russian furniture here. Decidedly with correct flathead screws. And you can see original handguards. Notice the holes on the front. And that is versus these. On this side of the AES-10B, you can see the folding carry handle, which is something a little unique to Romania. Most AES-10Bs have had that. Some came in with it missing, but the bracket was usually still there. These are nice, smooth guns for what it's worth. What makes this neat is the fact that it really is, as I said, the first and really only RPK import. All of your Russian guns are kit builds. And even the Vepers, even the FM RPK 47s from FIME aren't true RPKs. They're actually based on the much newer RPK 201, RPK 203, RPK-74M, depending on exactly which caliber. And there are differences, obviously, with the newer RPKs versus ones from back in the day. All of your Yugoslavian M72s are kit builds. Now, I say that knowing that there are a handful of true Mitchell's imports, but there are so few of them in 76239 out there that it's almost the exception that proves the rule, if you know what I mean. If you have one of the Mitchell's RPKs, good on you. Most people don't. They certainly have not been common or available in a long time. The Chinese guns, like the 87S or the NHM91, which we do a video on, aren't at all true RPKs. They're really just long-barreled type 56s. Likewise, the guns from Egypt with the 20-inch barrels are just AKMs with long barrels. So yeah, real RPKs are pretty few and hard to find, making the AES-10 a really good option for anyone wanting that in their collection. And they're also very authentic, well-built guns. I don't even think at the current price point they're a horrible value. However, mostly because of the furniture they ship with, I do think they are slightly inferior to the older AES-10Bs. If Century were to get original Romanian furniture on these, and also include a cleaning rod, such a small thing, but yeah, and start shipping them with at least one 40-round mag, then I would reevaluate. Because everything else is so close to what came before that there's really not a difference worth talking about. But this furniture, everyone I've heard that has picked one of these up so far has ended up wanting to replace it. Look at this Russian furniture again. Why not? I really like this Legion build. It's a shame that it has to be on a US receiver, US barrel. I may replace the barrel one day, though. May not. Probably wait till put a few thousand rounds through it. But that one's neat for being Russian. This one is... any of the AES-10Bs are nice for being true factory-built imports. Romanian receiver, Romanian barrel, Romanian bolt group. Well, guys, that's really all I can say on it. There's just not a lot else to talk about, because we've already done several videos on the AES-10B and the RPK, it being one of our favorites. So I would suggest, if you'd still like to learn more, check out our playlist. Also, we talk about the Wasser in a number of videos, and a lot of what is said about the Wasser holds true for this gun as well. I appreciate you tuning in, and we will be back with more on this gun. But since people had wanted to hear our opinion on it, I thought we'd at least get some kind of video out relatively quick for you. I appreciate you tuning in. Feel free to comment below. And as always, if you could like, share, and subscribe, but that would be great. Also, if you'd like to help support the channel, when you get time, check out the link to our Patreon page. really does have a nice park finish, I have to admit. And the bolt is smooth. Anyway, this is Misha, and I will catch you very soon next time.